Hey, what's up, YouTube? Got another little segment I got going on right now. I waited about a week, a bit longer, to do a reaction to the Pacquiao Margarito fight. Reason being is because there was a lot of, I think, emotion, hype after the fight. People let that cloud their judgment. So, I took some time, of course, and let everything soak in and look at things from all perspectives and angles. And now I think I'm ready to talk about it from a broad point of view. First off, let me start off by saying, I was the one that kind of said that Manny Pacquiao had a real chance of losing this fight, and he almost got knocked out. Margarito early on, attacked the body, and he had minor success, especially with that uppercut. As I've seen the fight about 3-4 times already, and Pacquiao's biggest issue is when he puts his hands together like this, when he's against the ropes, susceptible to the uppercut, and Margarito made sure he made him pay. Albeit it wasn't enough. Manny, being the great fighter he is, overcame that and with a flair of his own, and won the fight. Now, I'm going to say this. That was probably the most entertaining, lopsided fight I've ever seen. Sounds a little strange, but it was the most entertaining, lopsided fight ever. Margarito, do I still think he should have been there? No, I don't. He showed a lot of heart, but did he deserve that? No way, no how. This guy does not deserve to even be there, but he was, and he was, as I thought, going to weigh about 165. He's a much bigger guy, and I thought size would have been an issue for Manny. Not so much size, but power, I guess. And Manny, once again, continues to shock, continues to impress. He, just annihilated him. And he did it with how he beats all his other opponents. He is so good at strafing. He strafes his opponents so well that, I think even Floyd Mayweather would have serious problems when he tried to get out of the way, because how he turns his opponents when he punches his shoulder. He turns while he's punching. It's just very awkward, and he's very accurate with doing it. So with that being said, what's next for Manny Pacquiao and Margarito? First off, what's next for him? Me, I'd love to see him fight Cotto in a rematch. I would love to see that. I think Cotto could, put it into all this talk of, he had loaded gloves in the first fight, whatever. Other than that, nothing else really impressive. Julio Jr., Chavez Jr., maybe. I think he makes. I think that'd be an interesting fight as well, but I don't think there's much money involved in that. It wouldn't be too much of a selling point, as Chavez is not really a name opposed to someone like Miguel Cotto. But anyways, that's what I think he should explore and look at this point in his career. He doesn't have that many options, really. So the other fight possible maybe is Margarito fighting a rematch with Sergio Martinez. I think Margarito will have no problem making 160, no problem at all. Even 156. Sergio said that's the lowest he'll drop down to. So, that's an interesting fight as well. Pacquiao, what's next for him? Well, I think Bob Arum has the Jerry Jones syndrome. I think he's letting the fans and people get to him. I think, like I said the last time, people were not excited about Pacquiao Margarito. They accepted it. They weren't hyped. They accepted it for what it was. And Bob Arum now, the heat that's kind of come with it, and now the fact that Shane Mosley's name is being tossed out there is just, God, I mean, Max Kellerman said it best. I mean, that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable fight. You know, if Manny Pacquiao fights Shane Mosley, it's going to be very hard for me to continue to be a fan. The same way I distanced myself from Floyd Mayweather a bit. You know, I was his biggest supporter for years. I defended him to the end. But, you know, at some point, man, saying enough's enough, you know. And, you know, he threw the name out there, possibly Devin Alexander, Timothy Bradley, two great fighters I would love to see Manny in the ring with, the winner of that fight in January. Andre Berto, well, I think he probably beats Berto. I think it will be a very credible win for Manny. A credible win. Getting to young guys in his prime. Now, he may be too inexperienced, but I think it makes for a good fight. And, you know, very interesting. Manny against a fast, pretty young, talented guy. So, you know, those are obviously 147 fights, 140, 147 fights, well, 147. May not go back to 140. It's never going to happen. So, you know, when I say that about Marquez, you know, Marquez, I don't think he'll go up to welterweight. 147 makes no sense. So that fight's, it's no point even talking about. The other option that's been kind of floating around out there is Manny Pacquiao fighting Sergio Martinez. After Sergio's win over Paul Williams, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit shortly, now look, I think Manny's a great fighter. I think he's an all-time great. I think he's got all the tools to beat anybody. But there's a but. And the but being is that it's one thing to fight a fast, slick fighter like Floyd Mayweather or a great counterpuncher like Floyd or Marquez. It's another thing when you fight a guy like Martinez, who is just physically too big. If Martinez fights Manny, Pacquiao gets knocked out. He's too big. He's just too big. He's too big, too strong. A la De La Hoya Hopkins. Hopkins is just too big for Oscar. He's too big. Simple as that. So it's kind of one of those, it'd be a great hype fight, David versus Goliath, a real David Goliath match, but I really wouldn't. I mean, I would expect Manny to get knocked out within 7 rounds to fight Martinez, and I love Manny, but let's just be real here. That's just too much weight. The guy's too big, too strong. Which I want to talk about next is Sergio Martinez knocking over Paul Williams this past weekend. Paul Williams is one of my favorite fighters. I love Sergio Martinez. You know, his destruction of Kenny Pavlik was a masterpiece. The first fight with Paul Williams was memorable. Of course, and also Margarito back in the day, but that was many moons ago, and he's not the same fighter anymore, nor is he as small. That being said, Paul Williams, I think he's a guy that in his career, he's at a crossroad. He is at a crossroad right now. He has got to, I mean, the guy needs a better camp. He needs better trainers. His defense hasn't ever really improved, I mean, at all over the years. He goes in head first. He has a habit of punching he's way too far back and leans forward with his head. And I put that on his corner and on his training staff, and more importantly, I put that on his promoter. You know, look, is it Dubella that's promoting Paul Williams? I think who it is, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. I think it's Dubella. But anyways, gosh, man, I think Paul Williams has been handled very, very poorly, from a marketing standpoint to a training standpoint. And another thing too I want to mention too about that fight is that a lot of people are, of course, you know, dogging Paul and we told you. You know, he's overrated. I don't think he's overrated. I've said this the longest time. Paul Williams had no business fighting at 160, you know, at middleweight. You know, the guy is a 147 pounds. Now, I don't hear the argument, well, he should be a natural, he should be called big he is, he's tall. They're called weight divisions, not height divisions. I don't think middleweight is where he needs to be. He needs to be at 147. His frame is very, very, very thin. He's very lanky. He's not very that big. He's just really tall. You know, no one, you know, said anything, you know, about the Klitschko's. Are we going to make a division for the Klitschko's called the super duper tall division because they're bigger than everyone else? No, it's a weight division, not a height division. So Paul needs to go back. Problem is, no one wants to fight him at 147. So that's a problem within itself. So like I said, he's at a crossroad right now, and he's really got to, you know, take a look in the mirror and realize, look, man, what am I going to do? How's my career going to end up? So, you know, I hope Paul makes the right choice and gets his head right. I love watching him. I think he's a tremendous fighter, and I think he's got more potential than what he's shown. You know, just learn to utilize his fight big. He needs to learn to fight big, fight with his physical advantages. So, that being said, that's my take on Paul Williams, Martinez, Pacquiao. You know, what can you say? You cannot go segment without mentioning Floyd Mayweather. The guy has been, you know, MIA. Of course, we know Pacquiao, Floyd is the fight we're always waiting for. I think it will happen next year, only due to the fact that, I mean, it's now just picking up more Manny wins. I mean, I think the more it's going to push Floyd to say he is not gonna, you know, Floyd say enough's enough. I'm done with you putting this guy over me, and this fight will happen, and it's going to be a very interesting fight when it does. It's not going to be as one-sided as many y'all think it's going to be. And if it is, I promise you, it's not going to be, at this point in their careers, Floyd will not be the dominant one. Only, I mean, you fight once every blue moon, fight once a year, and with their legal issues, your trainer possibly, you know, facing legal, it's just so, it's one big messy bowl of spaghetti is what he's in, and, you know, who knows how that's going to play out. But hey, I love to see it happen. And you know what? My might change of who might win that fight, as it has several times already. But you know, that's, we'll cross that bridge when we arrive at it. But you know, I just wanted to touch base about, you know, about a little bit about what's going on, the big fights. Don't forget Marquez fighting Casillas this week, very good fight. And then December 11th, Amir Khan is fighting Maidana, which is, I think Amir Khan's gonna fucking murder him, and I'll talk to you about that some other time. So, that being said, you know, that's about it for now. Just nothing too detailed, just short, things off my chest. And I'll see you all around. See ya.